There are certain spots in pro wrestling that avoid all sense of logic and reasoning. These spots make no sense whatsoever and completely draw fans out of the illusion that is pro wrestling. Some of the spots on this list have been around for decades, and there's no justification for their existence other than they are a common part of a standard wrestling match. But which ones are they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 signature WWE spots that make zero sense. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and a non-wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 10. Submission moves on the announce table. WWE is very much focused on the visual parts of pro wrestling. Moves should look exciting and compelling as a viewer, and this preference is often favoured over moves making any logical sense. One of the moves that is common in WWE is submission moves being conducted on the announce table. While seeing a signature submission move performed on a table is a fantastic sight visually, what difference does the table make to the pain inflicted? Well, the answer is zero. The pain level of the submission move would be the exact same no matter where the move was being executed, and this is just a spot that is focused on creating a visually compelling moment rather than anything with any kayfabe aims of a wrestling match involved. Number 9. Clearing items from an announce table. Speaking of spots involving the announce table, one of the most frustrating things as a viewer is when wrestlers get set to put their opponent through a table, but they decide to clear the table before commencing with their move. Some may say that the logic of this is that they want a clean break, but surely a move being conducted with various items on the table would be way more impactful. The items on the table usually include a laptop, pens, and TV monitors, and this would naturally inflict way more pain on the opponent. So shouldn't they just leave them on? Number 8. Moving into position for top rope moves. Top rope moves are some of the most exciting moves in all of pro wrestling. Moves such as flying elbow drops and the frog splash are iconic and always receive a huge reaction from the crowd. Whilst visually amazing to witness, the illusion of the move is often broken when the camera captures the person taking the move shifting themselves into position. The individual taking the move often moves around to make sure that their opponent will land the move safely and effectively, and when the camera captures this live, the move begins to lose its luster. It goes without saying that it's hard to avoid. WWE in particular should try to avoid showing the opponent on the mat as much as possible and predominantly focus the camera on the wrestler on the top rope who's about to perform the aerial maneuver. Number 7. Trying to escape the fireman's carry. Now, the fireman's carry is a setup move to execute legendary finishing moves such as the F5 and John Cena's attitude adjustment. One of the flaws of the fireman's carry is that it is extremely rare to see wrestlers attempt to fight out of it. Why is it? Surely once a wrestler is on their opponent's shoulders, they know a devastating move is coming, so why not at least pretend to fight out of the move? Certain wrestlers including Seth Rollins have mastered this in recent years, as whenever Rollins is put into a fireman's carry position, he will do everything he can to sell the fact he's trying to escape the move. This approach from Rollins should be replicated whenever the fireman's carry is performed, but it seems unlikely that anything is ever going to change in relation to this particular move. Number 6. No headshots allowed. For over a decade now, WWE have had a blanket ban on chair shots to the head. Thanks to research into concussion-related injuries, WWE found it best that chair shots to the head aren't allowed under any circumstances. This has created a few issues from a storytelling perspective, as whenever a wrestler uses a chair in a match or in a segment, they seem to be targeting every single body part other than their head. If the wrestler in question loathed their arch nemesis so much, why wouldn't they perform a chair shot to the head? Now, this ruling has created some awkward moments over the past few years where wrestlers mid-match have actively had to avoid hitting each other in the head. Flawed logic aside, this directive from WWE is for the best, as concussion-related matters is something that every combat sport should take seriously. Number 5. Super moves. There are certain finishing moves which are simply generic standard wrestling moves. For instance, The Rock's finishing move, the People's Elbow, is literally an elbow drop, but why is The Rock's version of the move more deadly than other wrestlers' version of the exact same move? Additionally, if the elbow drop was indeed such a legitimate move, why doesn't every single wrestler on the roster steal the move? The same logic can be applied to Hulk Hogan's leg drop of doom. This was Hogan's finishing move throughout his career, but why was his so impactful? Why could Hogan secure a win over the likes of Ric Flair, Triple H and Randy Savage with the move, but if the leg drop was done by any other wrestler, it would barely receive a 1 count? It's an interesting question that nobody can truly offer a sensible answer to. Number 4. Climbing the steel cage. The majority of cage matches, particularly in WWE, have the stipulation that a wrestler can win either by escaping over the top of the cage or escaping through the cage door. This stipulation has resulted in a strong number of cage matches having no sense of logic. Take for instance when a wrestler is down in the match, their opponent will ascend to the top of the cage in order to escape rather than simply walking out of the cage door. Why do they do this? From WWE's perspective, it makes for a better visual and adds to the drama, but it makes the stipulation of the match completely pointless. Luckily, there is an easy way to fix this. In future, a cage match should only be won via escape over the top of the cage, this then completely removes the illogical flaw from the match. Number 3. The inability to ascend a ladder. The ladder match remains one of the most popular matches in WWE history. However, that doesn't mean that the match type doesn't have established issues. One of the most frustrating things when watching a ladder match is when a wrestler will suddenly forget how to climb a ladder. A wrestler will be unable to climb as they wait for their opponent to get in position for the next spot. The wrestler seems to go in slow motion as if there was no urgency whatsoever in the match. The spot is flawed because the wrestler can simply pull off every other single move in the match, but when it comes to climbing a basic ladder, they encounter a major issue. Number 2. Dives to the outside. Now, over the past few years, the dive to the outside has become one of the most commonly used moves in wrestling. The move used to be presented as a special move and will receive a thunderous reaction from the audience. However, the move is now just as common as a super kick or a suplex. But one of the worst things about the move is that it completely takes away from the escapism of pro wrestling. Whenever the move is about to be performed, one or sometimes several talents will be standing outside the ring just waiting to catch their opponent. This makes no sense. Why are they standing there just to safely catch their opponent? This flaw has been exposed thanks to the overusage of the move and how wrestlers seemingly have no idea how to safely catch their opponents without looking ridiculous. It's not just fans who have extensively called out the move, as wrestling personalities such as Randy Orton and Jim Ross have spoken at length about how the move is overused and how it removes a match from a sense of reality. This is a topic which Ross feels insanely passionate about, and this is what he had to say about the matter on his Grilling JR podcast. I told a kid the other day at AEW that everybody does the same effing spot. All you guys go outside, you cluster up like coils, you stand there in a huddle, friends and foes together side by side so you can catch some leaping idiot going over the top who never wins with this move. Is he right? And number 1, the Corner Stomp. Without a doubt, the most nonsensical spot in all of wrestling is the dreaded Corner Stomp. This is a spot which sees a wrestler pull themselves into the corner turnbuckle and they are then to hold themselves in position whilst their opponent performs a stomp on them. This spot makes no sense. Why on earth is a wrestler holding themselves up in position for the spot? This was a spot which was made popular by Alberto Del Rio during his time in WWE, and the spot has to be abolished from existence with immediate effect. Whenever the spot occurs, the WWE commentary team struggle to explain what is happening, as they are even dumbfounded by the lack of pure logic that the move involves. But there you have it folks, 10 signature WWE spots that make zero sense. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.